Hi everyone, welcome to today's professional development learning. I'm very excited for you to join today's learning because this is so important to everything we're going to be doing this year with our students, with our families, with our school community. And I'm just very excited to talk about what guaranteed and viable curriculum means for us and how we're going to work together to make it very meaningful and purposeful for everyone involved. So looking at our agenda for today, you're really going to focus together on building knowledge about what a guaranteed and viable curriculum is, but then also how teacher clarity can optimize our student impact opportunities. So what are ways that we can positively impact our students and our families of our students within our school community? So we're going to start with an inclusive welcome. We're going to talk about what is a guaranteed and viable curriculum. We're going to talk about teacher clarity, what that is, and then we're going to talk about a tool called the Teacher Clarity Playbook and how we're going to use that this year. And then we will have an intentional close to finish us off. So starting with our inclusive welcome, you're going to find your soul partner. So if you're joining us virtually, that's okay. You can kind of do this on your own and kind of reflect with yourself. But if you're here, you're going to find your soul partner, which is a person that has the same type of shoe as you, either color or type, or as close as you can get. And you're going to talk about this question: what's an activity you've really struggled with as a student or a learner? So maybe way back in your days as students, or maybe as just learners in general. And there are some follow-up questions to ponder. So I'm going to give you a chance to talk with your soul partner. Go ahead and do so. Thank you for those of you who shared out. I appreciate you willing to share your stories. And if you're wondering why we've got some images on our screen, this was kind of my example. I, as a student, really struggled in my physics class as a junior, I believe, in high school. I was going through some pretty rough health issues that a junior in high school should not have to go through, and was missing a lot of my classes. The teacher that I had there did not know what was going on with me, but did not help me when I came back and tried to catch up. And unfortunately, I was not given the same type of opportunities to learn as my classmates were. I loved school. I was the student that had everything done ahead of time and just happened to have this unfortunate circumstance. And I was left beyond confused. It wasn't sticking. I was asking for help and I wasn't getting it. And I also wasn't given the opportunities or the learning time to understand the curriculum or the materials. So as somebody who's in education now, and as we all are working together, how can we avoid this? How can we avoid this for our students and make sure that we're providing them positive opportunities to impact them in ways that they're going to remember that are good? We're going to do that with a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So Robert Marzano published a book called What Works in Schools. And in there, he talks about a guaranteed and viable curriculum. This really great graphic from Santa Clara Elementary shared this. It's also takes some of what Marzano has says about a guaranteed and viable curriculum, and the three key pieces of what it is. We're looking at essential skills. So what do students need to know? It's agreed upon by members of the team. So we're making sure we're providing consistency, clarity, that it's consistent. And then the focus for a highly effective team's common commitments. So that's formative assessments, that's feedback, that's how we're working with students. What do we do when they don't know? Thinking back to our work with PLCs. It's not just learning targets. It's not just one teacher working by themselves. This will not work if we just choose to go rogue on our own and we're the only person trying it. We need everyone to work together. It's also not learned to 100% mastery. Now, sometimes that can be a big mind shift where we expect students to do it perfectly every time. Not real life. Just like you could go retake a driver's test if you failed the first time and still get your license, right? This is what we're talking about not 100% mastery. So think about these questions for a second. How do we identify the essential skills every student must know? What are those? And then, why do you think it's important for us to focus on a collective directive for our students? If you said essential skills are, standards, absolutely. Our standards tell us what we need for our students, what our students need to know, what they're going to show us, what do they need to do, what concepts do they need to know, and what do they need to do skill-wise. And then a collective directive, that's us providing clarity, teacher clarity. We're going to talk about what that looks like. So how we provide a guaranteed and viable curriculum relies on our teacher clarity. And a couple different people have worked and researched about what teacher clarity is. Now, John Almarode and Kara Vandas, and I'm probably saying those wrong, my apologies if I am, they wrote a book, collaborated, and wrote a book called Clarity for Learning. In there, we're really talking about clarity of organization, explanation, examples and guided practices or modeling, and assessment of student learning. So how are our units and our instruction aligned? How do we explain that to students? What is the purpose? What are some examples, exemplars, and how do we model that for them? And then how do we assess them? How do we give them feedback? How can we be so clear to provide clarity that it matters? So another piece of this, John Hattie, which some of you may know, it's a pretty popular educational name, wrote the book Visible Learning, which is our other text over here. And in there, he did a lot of research where he tried to determine what are those influences that impact student learning. What are their impacts and how did they rank against each other? So it's called a barometer of influence, and there's some information on there. But essentially, you can see right here, it's pointing to 4/10 as a effect size. That's average. So thinking about each day, that's the average effect that something has on a student. If you look at teacher clarity, we have a 0.75 effect size. It's in the top 5 most influential for students and how we impact our students. So when we do these things, it is research-based. It matters. Providing clarity matters. So how we're going to do that is we're going to use something called the Teacher Clarity Playbook. There are a variety of authors that you can see down here that collaborated together based on Hattie's work and decided to create a playbook. If you're a sports fan, right? You have a playbook that kind of tells you how we're going to be successful. But this really breaks down some tools, some practice for teachers to provide clarity to all stakeholders. There is a video here if you'd like to click on later. You are more than welcome to watch that. I highly recommend it. I believe it's around 2.5 minutes. But it talks about how all those pieces fit together to create clarity. If we align all of these things we're going to talk about, standards, learning targets, learning intentions, learning progression, success criteria, assessment, rubrics, feedback, all of it works together to provide clarity. Clear is kind. That's Brene Brown. We all know and love her. But we want to be as clear as we can with you as a staff, and we also want to be clear with our students. So over here, what you can see, this is the Teacher Clarity Playbook Unit Planner. Every time we create a unit, this is what we will use as a staff. We're going to commit to using this. In each of these sections, you can see there's little videos. There are videos that take you to Corwin, the publisher of the Teacher Clarity Playbook, actually put out some videos explaining each process for each section in addition to this Clarity Playbook. So those are there for us to use and to learn some more about. But that's later on. So what we'll do is we'll use this organizer. Templates down here if you want to start taking a look at it. If you do decide to add things to it, please make sure you make a copy. But we're going to break down a standard. Again, what are the concepts they need to know? What do they need to do? What are the skills? How do we make a learning progression that says, here's how we get from point A to point B? What are they learning about? And then what are they expected to prove at the end of it? Success criteria. If you say, I can do this, we can say, prove it, and students will have data for us. This is what the playbook will walk us through. This is what we're going to use to plan our curriculum to make sure that it's guaranteed and viable. So, building your knowledge a little bit about guaranteed and viable curriculums and how Teacher Clarity can optimize student impact opportunities. Guaranteed and viable. That means providing this high quality learning for all students, and we're also making sure we're protecting the time and the space for our students to learn so that everyone has an equitable opportunity to learn. Teacher clarity, right? How we organize, how we align all those pieces, how we give examples and models and assess and give feedback. That's teacher clarity, being very explicit. We're going to use the playbook to help us out, and we're going to work on this together. It is so important that we remember guaranteed and viable means we work as a unit. It's collective. It's cohesive. We're working together to better our students and the impact we have on our students. So to do that, and this is just a very small step, the first thing I want you to do is really just reflect personally on your own practice. You're going to take some of these pieces like standards, learning progression, learning intentions, success criteria. You're going to reflect on your current practice within those. You'll have a single point rubric that identifies some areas to grow in. Maybe these are areas of need. You also are looking at areas that you already are glowing in. What are you good at already? Is it learning intentions? Is it just your knowledge of standards? Is it your assessment and standard alignment? What are areas that you really are doing super well with already? And what are areas that we need to grow in? It's non-evaluative. It's not something I'm going to take and be like, oh, they didn't know this? Awesome. No, this is for you. This is for you to take in and to make it make sense and to make it meaningful. Reflection is a part of the process. So we are going to use this reflection form. It's linked here for you in the future, but again, it's for you to reflect on what that looks like. So lots of resources, lots of information in this quick PD, but the websites are here. Remember, there's video links, there's books, there's all kinds of things for you to start digging into that learner part of yourself. And I'm going to do my best to provide the time and space for us to learn so we can do the same for our students. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and to be present. I know this is going to be meaningful work, and I'm excited to work alongside you to make this happen. Thanks for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your night.